Now, talking about hay fever, this recent warm weather is obviously lovely for a lot of people when you can get out. Bad news, though, for millions of hay fever sufferers, and forecasters have warned that we could be facing the worst hay fever season in 70 years.
On top of everything else.
On top of everything else.
So let's go to the allergy expert and consultant, Dr Glenis Scadding, who's here to offer her advice on all of this. And if I'm right, Doctor, it's tree pollen that's causing the big problem at this time of year. So there are different waves of all of this, yeah?
Absolutely right. Birch tree pollen at the moment, followed by plane tree pollen in May. Towards the end of May, the grass pollen kicks in, and then at the end of the summer, weed pollens.
Gosh, yeah. So it's a long, long
we have a lot
season.
of birch trees around us where we live, and I've had the windows open all week in the bedroom, and I was just pointing out to Ruth yesterday, the dust, the covering, you can actually see this pollen.
Yeah, absolutely, you can see it, and that's why people with hay fever should keep their windows shut. Especially at night when the pollen descends, because it goes up as the air warms, moves around by the wind and comes down again at night. So close your windows at night and keep your car windows closed and make sure there's a filter on the air intake.
Good advice, good advice. Doctor, I have a query. I have 4 other brothers. They all suffered terribly with hay fever, terribly. But I luckily don't. Is that a usual thing, or why would some people in a family suffer and others wouldn't?
The predisposition is partly genetic and partly environmental. So you may have avoided that little collection of genes that are likely to make you allergic, and you may also have avoided the environmental influences, which we're not totally sure about, that make you allergic on top of that genetic background.
Okay, thank
We've
you.
got a lot of people waiting to talk to you. Just very quickly before they do, we were talking earlier saying if you've got hay fever, if you're a key worker, if you're out on an essential journey, coughing, sneezing at the moment is not appreciated by anybody. So what would you advise to hay fever sufferers?
I think they should be wearing masks. It doesn't need to be medical grade, but there should be some way of covering their nose and mouth, keeping it covered, so all coughs, all sneezes go into the mask.
Okay.
Or scarf, or bandana, whatever.
OK, and then people won't be glaring at you when you're sneezing in the aisles of the supermarket. Let's go straight to Cassie. Hello, Cassie, in Maidstone, I believe. Hi, Cassie.
Hiya.
Morning. What would you like to ask Dr Scadding?
So my daughter, she's 3, and she suffered with bad hay fever since she was born, and she gets really bad eczema flare-ups. But the GP's obviously said just make her have Piriton, but it can make her really drowsy. And I just didn't know if there was something else that we could do to help her.
Yes, there is. First of all, it's unusual to have hay fever from birth. She's probably allergic to other things other than pollen, and it might be worth sorting out what those are when this COVID-19 is all over. Secondly, Piriton is an old-fashioned sedating antihistamine, and nobody should be using it. You should use a non-sedating antihistamine, and your GP can switch your daughter to one of those. Thirdly, antihistamines are not the most effective medication for nasal allergy. A much better one is a nasal corticosteroid spray. And I've shown in a trial that actually this works much better in 2 to 4-year-olds than does an antihistamine syrup. If she doesn't like taking it, you can always put it in at night when you go to bed and she is fast asleep. Doesn't need to be sniffed up, can just be puffed gently into the nose. Doesn't matter which one you use, probably mometazone or fluticasone is the best for small children. 1 puff each side, aiming sideways. So you're aiming sort of for here, and then the other side aiming out, towards the ear, aiming sideways onto that surface there. 1 puff each side regularly, every single day without fail.
Thank you,
because
Doctor.
It's a prophylactic one.
Thank you very much.
Dr Scadding, can I just ask, can Cassie get those things you mentioned at the pharmacy, or would she have to have a prescription?
She can get those at the pharmacy. But of course, it would be sensible to keep her GP in the loop if she can. Yeah.
We go to rugby in Warwickshire, and we've got Siobhan on the line there. Congratulations, Siobhan, you are with child.
I am, thank you.
Very good, but obviously that brings extra worries to you. The doctor's listening.
Thank you. Hi, I'm 23 weeks pregnant at the minute and I suffer with quite severe hay fever. I'm usually on a steroid nasal spray and prescription antihistamines, but they've said that I can't take these this summer. Is there anything you can recommend that's safe in pregnancy?
Yes, you can take the steroid nasal spray. Both fluticasone and mometasone have good safety data. There's a fairly recent paper on both of those showing thousands of women taking them, no problems with their offspring, in excess of what might be expected in the natural run of things. So you can certainly take the nasal spray. And there are antihistamines that are safe enough to take in pregnancy. Loratadine certainly has good safety data. Mind you, if you weren't pregnant, a better thing to do would be to put the antihistamine into your nose because it works better. But that is one that you can't use in pregnancy. So for you, a nasal spray, I think, will be fine.
OK, Siobhan?
Yeah,
Oh,
OK.
she's gone. OK. Let's talk to Lorraine. Hello, Lorraine.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning. Now, Lorraine, we've been talking about, people confusing the symptoms of hay fever possibly with coronavirus, and that's something that's worrying you. What would you like to ask?
Yes, I suffer with hay fever quite badly, especially this time of year. As you were talking earlier on, it's mostly sort of tree pollen at the beginning of the season. I have a nasal spray and eye drops. Now, I've not really been that concerned, but my children have, and they're now making me worry. So should I be concerned? What should I be looking out for?
Well, here is something I prepared earlier. This is a little schema of COVID-19 on this side, hay fever here, and in the middle, the overlap symptoms. So if you have anything outside the green circle, if you have fever or a cough, or you
move it away
Doctor, could you just bring it back a bit? That's it. Perfect.
Yep.
Yeah, beautiful.
Okay. Anything outside the green circle, fever, feeling really ill, temperature, muscle pains, dry cough, lack of sense of smell, those are symptoms that are more likely to be COVID-19. These ones in the middle, you can have with both, especially if you're young, you have more cold-like symptoms. And here, itching and the eye symptoms are much more likely to indicate hay fever.
So, Lorraine, can I ask you, do you have any of the symptoms in the red zone there?
I do have a dry cough, but I've always had that with my hay fever. So that's why I've not really been concerned. But of course, sort of other years, I've just carried on coughing, not really paid much attention to it. But because now, obviously, with COVID-19 around, every time I cough, my children panic, especially my eldest daughter, Katie, and constantly asking me, are you OK, Mum? Are you sure you're OK? So I just wondered whether...
So it's the cough that's worrying them, Dr Scadding? It's the cough that's...
Well, the cough is probably related to your pollen allergy, and you might have pollen asthma. Now, that can be treated by an inhaler, by a corticosteroid inhaler, and you will need to get one of those from your GP. And I would advise that you do that because the asthma from birch pollen can be quite bad. But without the other symptoms, I think it's much more likely that it's your usual allergy.
OK.
I can't say for sure.
So, Doctor, thank you so much indeed. Lorraine from Sandhurst, we've got to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed. The amazing thing is, Dr Glenis, am I hearing beautiful bird song every time you speak?
Yes.
Yeah? Let's just all be quiet and let's listen to the bird song. Absolutely incredible, isn't it?
It's beautiful.
The thing is, Doctor, we all here, we're all more aware of this because there are less cars, less airplanes in the sky, less traffic in general, less noise. And you just wonder, has the bird song always been there or has it come back? That's beautiful.
It's a very good question. Apparently, birds sing louder when there's a lot of background noise.
Oh, we just can't hear it.
We just can't hear it. So when the background noise goes, we're much more aware of it.
Well,
but there are a
lovely.
lot of birds here.
Yeah, well, it's lovely.
Well, lovely to share them with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Good
you.
to see you.